Australia, just hanging out. And I'm right here on the Yarra River, if you look behind me. Woo, cool. The Yarra River here in Melbourne does have just a mile of restaurants and bars right on the river. And I sat down to eat at General Assembly, which is a bar and restaurant. This is called Pimm's, which is a British version of some sort of beer cocktail drink. I'm drinking Pimm's for the first time. Pimm's tastes like a mojito and tea, like iced tea and a mojito. I asked for something from the Yarra Valley and she gave me this white wine that's from the Mornington Peninsula, and mistakenly she poured me the glass and I took it and I didn't realize it's 14 Australian dollars for this glass, and that's all you get right there. I'm super disappointed that I got suckered into buying a $14 glass of Chardonnay. I don't even drink Chardonnay.
I think there's only two kind of people in the world, actually. The people who like Pinot Noir and the people who don't. So we'll see what side of the fence you sit on. Lots of lovely Pinot where we're going.
So today I took a wine tour to the Yarra Valley. Yarra Valley is very popular and known for their delicious wines. And I'm going to 4 wineries. First one is Punt Road, and so far I just really love the red wines here.
40 tastings of the wineries we go to today, so I need to point out that you don't actually have to taste them all and swallow them all. Get into a bad habit early on of just swallowing that first one and that second one, and by the afternoon it's all a bit of a blur, so just pace yourself is a good word, pace. I think 5 wines, a tasting of 5 wines before lunch. I'll start you with a sparkling to clear your palate, and then some big Bendigo reds, and you'll finish with a sparkling Shiraz, a sparkling red, which a lot of people haven't tried, so that might be fun for you to try.
So I just went to a couple wineries, and one of them was called Baljonia Estate, where they have a sparkling Shiraz.
We go on to this little winery as the third winery we're going to. It's called Yearing Farm. It's a winery established by the Johns family, Alan Johns and his wife Vicky, and their sons are the winemakers. Only a little place. We'll be in an old hay barn on the top of the hill. Great rustic location with views of the valley. Bottle aged wine. So different styles of Chardonnay and Cabernet. If you like a red, my favourite red in the valley is at Yearing Farm. It's named after. They've only got 30 acres of vine, so they don't make enough wine to even sell in the Melbourne shops. But a lot of the top restaurants in the city have Yearing Farm wines, and you pay well over $100 a bottle for their wine. So you're going to get to taste all that wine. Also, they have apples Pink Lady apple orchards, and they make cider from it. So Pink Lady apple cider. So if you like an apple cider, you've got to try their cider. It comes out pink in the glass because they actually make it in Pinot Noir barrels. So it looks really cool too. The fact that it's pink. Then we move on to our last stop, which a lot of people would see as the highlight of the whole day. We're going to Domaine Chandon. This is the winery established by Moet Chandon, the famous French champagne winery. One of only 4 locations around the world, supplying Asia Pacific, so 250,000 dozen plus bottles a year. Japan and China, Hong Kong, Singapore. I'm going to actually take you into the winery. It's part of Hennessy Louis Vuitton, so it's a multi-million-dollar setup. I can show you the winemaking process there. And Moet is from the Dutch word moed, which means courage or guts in Dutch. And there's a whole backstory with the Moet family. Apparently his ancestors stormed the castle with Joan of Arc and had this famous war cry, made an honorary Frenchman. So if you do get a chance to tell a Frenchman it was actually a Dutchman that started the whole champagne thing, I'm sure they'd be thrilled about that. Anyhow, Lord Moet went into partnership with a Frenchman, Monsieur Chandon. King, Queen of England would get their wine from Moet Chandon going back to the 1700s. But probably the most famous person connected with this brand was the original winemaker, the Benedictine monk from the monastery nearby, the famous Dom. You've probably heard of the Dom. No, Dom Perignon, known as a great innovator in the industry. It was believed he was
we went to 4 different wineries, and 2 of them offered a sparkling red wine, which is literally the highlight of the wine tour for me personally. It's like champagne because it has bubbles, but it's dry red wine. So we tasted a sparkling red Shiraz, which was literally so delicious. It's probably the best wine ever made. And the other one was a sparkling Pinot, if I'm not red wine. Super delicious sparkling red wines. And I hope that the trend of sparkling red wine comes to America, or it's very hard to ship here. It's very expensive to ship this wine back home from Australia, all the way. It's delicious. Ah. These were the wines from the Yarra Valley. This one is a sparkling Pinot, and this one is a sparkling Shiraz. This is Valjonia Estate. This is what the Irish couple called a revelation, and this one is like more like a champagne, but they're both delicious. I can't technically call them champagne because they're not from France. Yesterday I went on the Yarra Valley wine tour, which is great. And right now I'm heading off to hop on a bus and do a beers and cider tour of the Yarra Valley, which I'm super excited about. Yesterday I had a cider which was made out of Pink Lady apples, fruit of the gods.
We are going to have some pretty cool ciders today. If you like the sparkling Shiraz, we might have a couple of things that you might find a little bit interesting today. Doesn't mean you like them, but we're actually going to have some champagne-style ciders.
Yeah.
This is method traditional, method champagne, or sparkling cider. We've also got a blueberry sparkling or blueberry champagne as well, which is a little bit of an interesting one.
I'll drink it all.
That has happened over the last about 20 or 30 years in beer has been a move to what we call inoffensive beers. So the idea was that if you want to sell one product to everybody, you make it taste more and more like nothing, and the carbonation level has gone up as well. One of the reasons why is the carbonation level also fits into that. It doesn't taste like anything kind of thing.
What's your favorite drink here?
The lager.
Are you a cider drinker at all?
A little bit. If you're going to go for the cider, I generally go for the apple cider. It's just a little bit crisp and clean, so it's easier to drink. But other than that, it's either the lager or the ESB that we do, which is that English style sort of bitter.
My favorite beer here at Napoleon was this lager, which is called Hales Lager. And this one here is interesting. It's a smoked lager using smoked malt, and it tastes like, literally tastes like bacon. So maybe only drink it if you're having barbecue.
I'm gonna have some blueberry wine and port and champagne, Moscato. And they have the ports, the champagnes and things like that as well there, which are kind of cool. Champagne ciders, draft ciders.
Like carbonated apple cider. It's a flat wine chilled. You always serve sparkling chilled. So it's quite rich and a little bit of sweetness there, but a little bit of tartness at the end. It's really beautiful.
Judge beer based on its colour either, and the reason I say that is because the colour of the beer actually has nothing to do with what it tastes like. It has nothing to do with its alcohol content, and it has nothing to do with its thickness.
Visit the gin distillery. If we've got a bit of time, why not? We have one person that doesn't like gin, one person that does, so if someone else wants to jump in.
Hey, I'll still drink it though.
There you go. Well, bang, we're done. You never know, you might change your mind as well. I think sometimes when different spirits are presented, sometimes in a different light, maybe. Does anyone by any chance know, you can think on this, what the number one gin consuming country in the world is? Both by capita and by total volume. It's actually the Philippines.
So these are juniper berries, which is going to make gin. And a dry London gin will have 51% juniper berries with nothing else. All of these other botanicals and herbs, which include lots of things that I cannot name, including this peppery corn, or whatever it's called, is going to go into a gin like this, which is called a barrel-aged gin, which they take the gin and put it in Chardonnay barrels, and it's almost similar to whiskey, not quite, but that's definitely the best, whereas these ones are like dragon fire.
The process that we take out from the distillation, which actually purifies and cleans this berry further with the others. But with this one, we're going to have this change the process here.
You didn't think that was disgusting, or did you like that one?
Yeah, it is okay, but no.
You're right though, they made it to go in.
This one right here is the spiced, what does that say?
Negroni.
Spiced Negroni, which has coriander.
Cardamom, star anise.
And it would taste really good in a Bloody Mary, but a Bloody Mary with gin is called a
Snapper.
Front belt, the back as well. It's not down the throat.
I'm really not that, I'm not that sophisticated. I just say I like it or I hate it. But it has like a honey taste. I'm on the brewery tour now in the Yarra Valley, and this is the 5th place we've gone to. One brewery, then a type of blueberry winery, then another brewery to have lunch, then a gin distillery, and now we're at Coldstream Brewery. So I just finished my beer tour of the Yarra Valley, and I came out to eat at a restaurant called Othello Restaurant right outside of the Eureka Sky Deck, which is right over there. And first thing I saw is this nice cider, which is a passion fruit cider, and it tastes exactly like what it is. It tastes like passion fruit, tastes like cider, only 4% alcohol, but very delicious. And cider is huge out here in Australia, so you see all kinds: apple, pear, passion fruit, all kinds of different mix of ciders. Somewhat expensive to buy beer or alcohol out here, but on the brewery tour I did learn that cider is technically a wine. So cider is technically a wine because it's fermented fruit. So cider would be fermented apples and pears traditionally. And
by marketing law, you can call anything you want cider. So for example, there's some nice bottles of cider in here for you if you get thirsty. They're not, it's actually water. If anyone needs any throughout the day, you can definitely come and grab some. But there actually would be no law that couldn't say that I couldn't call that cider. Technically, I could sell it as cider. There's nothing that actually stops me. Which is kind of a little bit strange. So at the moment in the market, there are a whole lot of ciders that actually aren't cider. They're made out of all sorts of different weird and wonderful kind of things. Because the law kind of hasn't caught up with this new explosion in cider.
this cider was 14 Australian dollars, which probably equates to just approximately 10 American dollars just for one cider.
A little bit about at least why your booze is so expensive.
Like, I went to get a pint of Killian's.
Yep.
It was $10.
Yes, which actually isn't that expensive.
And I was like, oh my goodness gracious. I was like, do you have anything else special? He was like, nope. So yeah, I got a half of one.
Yes.
Which I think, from American point of view, I'm like, what is this? Like, why is it so small?
Yeah.
It's like, that's not even a glass of beer to me, you know? So, Vegemite is, you said it's leftovers brewer's yeast.
Yeah.
From like all the different breweries, or?
Yeah. Like, there's Little Creatures Brewery in Geelong that are trying to get a contract with Vegemite to sell their leftover, byproducts.
Do they put anything else in it, like salt and?
It's mixed with.
It's salty, right?
Yeah.
I've never had it. But
It's got like a thing that's like bouillon kind of thing, which I think is like a beef stock or something, which is quite salty. But yeah, you should try it. If you haven't tried it, I urge you to try it. You'd be having an Australian cultural experience.
Carlton and United Breweries, otherwise known as CUB, or what you would know as Foster's, used to have a hop farm where that car yard is, which is one of the vital ingredients in beer. And what they did one year back in the 60s is they got two types of British hops and they bred them together and they created a brand new hop strain called Pride of Ringwood. And Pride of Ringwood, which is named after this suburb, is now in every single CUB Foster's product except for one. It's not in Pure Blonde.
I'll drop
One thing you'll learn about traveling around the world is that pizza and beer never get old. I tried the Carlton Brew, which is actually a brew house in Melbourne, but I'm in Port Campbell, which is probably like an hour, actually 2.5 hours west of Melbourne. And it's an okay beer, not the best. I didn't have time to go to the brew house, but I did. At least I tried the beer, right? Oh my goodness, he's so cute.
Restaurant there, and it's so good.
This brewery?
Yeah. Do
they only make cider, or they make like different kinds of brews?
Well, it's actually one of the wines that we have here. It's actually the same company, but they've got their cider house and then they have their winery.
Which I find like they do that here. They have like a winery and a cidery in the same place.
Yeah, but they've got
because the way that they make wine is the same way that they would make a cider or.
Well, this actually because when they started making cider, they had it in the back of their little winery, and then because it got so popular, they only had a few batches.
Right.
And we were one of the only people that sold their cider because they couldn't sell it all around.
Are you talking about this specific brewery?
This specific cider.
Oh, okay.
And then they started a cider house just for.
They have a cider house for a pub.
Yeah, because it's good.
Yeah.
They have a cider house for a pub.
This apple cider is made actually in the Yarra Valley, but I'm in Sorrento, Australia, which is named after Sorrento, Italy. And this is a really delicious cider.
Lovely Gummy is one of our 4 koalas here at Moonlit Sanctuary, and he does love a cuddle.
Everywhere I go in Australia, they have a ton of different cider companies. It's really big out here.
It doesn't really work, prohibition or this idea of alcohol tax legislation. Now in Australia, quite interestingly, wine is subsidised by the government. It's called the WET, the Wine Equalisation Tax. And that is why you can go out and you can buy a bottle of wine very cheaply in this country for $1 or $2. Because the government has subsidised it for you. And it's why drinking culture in this country is different than what it may be in other countries. So For example, when I lived in the United States, I can never remember going into a bar and ordering a glass of wine. Not for me or anyone that I was with. Very, very strange to do. The reason being is because you can go into a bar over there and buy a martini for like $8 or $10 or $12. Whereas a martini in Australia will cost you $16, $18, $20, $22. But the government subsidises a glass of wine, so you can buy a glass of wine in a bar for $9 or $10. So we will go into the pub and people will drink wine. Whereas they won't do that in other countries around the world always because it's just not economically relevant.